All right, so get ready for a deep dive. Today we're talking Pixar. And to do that, we're going to the top tens, depict10s.com, and their list of the top 10 best Pixar movies. Now, this list is all about you guys, the fans. It's based on your rankings. So, what do you think makes a Pixar film great? Is it the animation, or the stories, or those characters that just stick with you? Well, let's jump in and see.
I think it's fascinating to see how these fan rankings really give us a glimpse into what resonates with audiences the most.
Yeah, and right away there are a few films that
It's-
consistently make it to the top of the list. Films that seem to capture that Pixar magic. We're talking Toy Story, The Incredibles, Finding Nemo, Monsters, Inc., and
Yeah.
of course.
And they're more than just pretty pictures, right? They deal with these universal themes.
Mhm.
Friendship, family, facing your fears, things that really speak to all of us.
Absolutely, and it's interesting how one fan compared Toy Story 2 to The Empire Strikes Back. That's like the gold standard for sequels, right? What do you think makes that comparison so good?
Well, I mean, just think about it. Both movies really raised the stakes from the original. They introduce these compelling new characters,
Yeah.
and they explore, kind of, the darker, more complex side
Right.
of the heroes. Toy Story 2 is more than a rehash. It takes that
Mhm.
world and the characters' emotional journeys and really expands on them. And I think that's a big part of why fans loved it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And it's not just the stories, right? It's the animation too. One fan even pointed out
Wow.
that The Incredibles was Pixar's like first big success with,
Sure.
making human animation look realistic. And that's something we kind of take for granted now, but
Yeah.
it was pretty revolutionary at the time.
Yeah, it really was. Before that, animated humans kind of had that almost plastic look to them.
Mm-hmm.
But The Incredibles, they had to create realistic skin, hair movement, clothing that draped naturally. I mean, it took a lot of technical innovation to get that right.
Yeah.
And it really set a new standard
Yeah.
for everybody else.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we've got the heartwarming stories, we've got groundbreaking animation. What else is it that these top Pixar movies do so well?
Well, you can't forget the characters. They create characters.
Yeah.
That we connect with on like such a personal level. Think about Finding Nemo for a second. I mean, Marlin, he's so overprotective,
Yeah.
which is something that so many parents can relate to, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got Dory, who's just this unwavering optimist. Even when things are tough, she's just so endearing. And who doesn't love Mike and Sully in Monsters, Inc.? They're so funny and quirky. These characters become like friends,
Yeah.
and their struggles, their victories, they resonate with us because we've all been there.
Totally. And speaking of emotional journeys, how can we forget Up, that opening sequence? It always gets me.
Right. It's amazing. In just a few minutes, Pixar shows us this whole love story, all the ups and downs.
Yes.
They do it all without any dialogue. That's true storytelling.
It's incredible how they do that. Pack so much emotion into their films. Do you think that's like
Yeah.
the key ingredient to a Pixar film, that emotional connection?
Oh, for sure. It's not just about the tears. Although Pixar's pretty good at making us cry. It's about experiencing the whole range of emotions. They make us laugh. They make us think. They make us believe in things like hope and imagination. And that's why they stay with us for so long.
Yeah, you're right. It's like they tap into our inner child or something, remind us of the magic that's all around us. But not every Pixar film is universally loved. Some films are a bit more, I don't know, controversial.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Let's move on to the films that kind of landed in the middle of the rankings. WALL-E, Toy Story 3, Inside Out, Ratatouille. What do you think about these? Why do you think they got more mixed reactions? It's interesting, right? Because they're still highly ranked, but people seem to have, stronger opinions about them. Take WALL-E. Some fans love the environmental message, while others think it's a little, I don't know, too preachy. What do you think?
I think it's a great example of how Pixar isn't afraid to tackle, big issues, even in movies for kids. And they do it so beautifully. Visually, I mean. Think about that contrast between the Earth, all trashed and desolate, and the Axiom, the spaceship, all clean and sterile. It's a powerful statement about consumerism and our impact.
Yeah, the visuals are definitely striking. And WALL-E himself, he's so lovable. You just want him to succeed.
Exactly. And then you add in the romance with EVE. It's like, yeah, even in this messed up world, there's still hope. Love can still bloom.
And speaking of hope, let's talk about Toy Story 3. That one was a tearjerker, Andy, growing up. The toys facing their own mortality, basically. It's a powerful metaphor, don't you think? For letting go, embracing change.
It is, and I think that's why it resonates with so many people. We've all experienced that, those moments of transition, saying goodbye to things, people, accepting that things change. The film captures that feeling, that bittersweet feeling, so well.
Yeah, and it's still hilarious. I mean, Mr. Potato Head is a tortilla. Come on.
Right? Pixar is just So good at that blend of humor and heart, like Inside Out. They tackle these complex emotions, but in a way that's both funny and smart.
I love how they visualize the inside of the mind. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, disgust. They're like actual characters.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It makes these abstract ideas relatable. It shows us it's okay to feel all these things, even the negative ones. It's all part of being human.
Exactly. And it's so refreshing because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It acknowledges that sometimes life is hard.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, that's so important,
Yeah.
especially these days.
Okay, so there's one film that I think deserves more love. Ratatouille. The animation is gorgeous, especially the scenes in Paris. I felt like I could smell the bread.
Oh, yeah. Ratatouille is definitely a visual treat. And the story. It's about following your dreams, no matter what.
Remy the rat. Aspiring chef. Who would have thought?
Right. But it works because at its core, it's about passion and determination. Remy doesn't let anything stop him. He believes in himself, even when no one else does.
Yeah, it's inspiring. So we've talked about the heartwarming films, the groundbreaking animation, the films that make you think. But what about the Pixar movies that are more controversial?
Ah, yes. The ones that divide the fans.
Yeah.
The sequels, that leave you wondering, did that really live up to the Pixar name?
We're talking like Finding Dory, Monsters University, Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, sequels that left some people really happy and others kind of disappointed. What do you think makes a Pixar sequel truly successful? Is it about recreating that magic from the original? Or is it about doing something totally new?
It's tough, right? I think the best sequels find a way to balance both. They respect what came before, but they also bring something fresh to the table, like Toy Story 2. It gave us more of the characters we loved, but it also explored new themes about purpose and self-worth. It felt like a natural next step, not just a rehash.
Yeah, I agree. But some sequels don't quite hit that mark. Finding Dory. It was beautiful to look at, and it had its sweet moments, but for some fans, it just didn't have the same magic as Finding Nemo.
Yeah, I get that. Finding Dory. It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
But maybe it stuck a little too close to the original.
Right. And then there's Cars 2. That one seems to be really divisive. Some people love it. Some people hate it.
Cars 2 is definitely a different kind of Pixar movie. More action, more comedy. Not so much that heartwarming feeling. First movie.
Yeah, that's true. But even the sequels that didn't quite live up to the originals, they often still have good things about them, right? Like Monsters University. It might not be as funny as Monsters, Inc., but it tells a nice story about friendship and accepting your limits.
Exactly. It's still a charming movie with good messages. And hey, we get more Mike and Sully, so I'm happy.
Me too. And what about Brave? That one got some mixed reactions. Because of Merida, the main character. Some people thought she wasn't a typical Pixar hero.
Yeah, Merida was definitely different. She's not waiting around for a prince. She's a strong, independent woman who wants to make her own choices.
Right. It's cool that Pixar is willing to experiment with different types of characters. So after all this talk about Pixar, what do you think are the most important ingredients for a great Pixar film?
For me, it comes down to the animation, which is always top-notch, and the way they handle these deep themes, like friendship and family, and believing in yourself. They make you feel things. You laugh, you cry, and those feelings stay with you.
I totally agree. They're more than just kids' movies, They're for everyone. They remind us of the magic in life.
Yeah.
Well, this has definitely made me want to watch all the Pixar movies again.
Same here.
So, listeners, we encourage you to revisit your favorites. Think about what makes them special to you. What characters do you connect with? What stories stick with you? And until next time, happy watching.